If only we could go back in time, we would likely change so many of the decisions that seemed harmless or even wise at the time. Charles Johansson, now 80, reflects on his life, especially his 50s, and wishes he could pass on crucial lessons to his younger self and others still living in that chapter of life. He had a successful career as a civil engineer, a busy routine, and felt invincible. But like many, Charles underestimated the long-term effects of his daily choices. His lack of attention to health, relationships, and self-reflection built a future filled with regret. Now, standing at the end of his journey, Charles realizes that the seeds he planted at 50 determined the quality of his later years. He may not be able to turn back the clock, but he's sharing 7 important lessons he learned too late, hoping others can make changes before it's too late. While some may seem like common advice, such as taking care of your health and relationships, Charles adds wisdom gained from decades of experience, offering insights most people only fully grasp after it's too late. If you're 50 or approaching it, this could be a wake-up call. Life is still full of potential, but the choices you make now will significantly shape the life you'll have at 70, 80, or beyond. 1. Prioritize sleep, the body's natural healer. At 50, many people think they can push their limits, cutting down on sleep to make room for a busy career, family responsibilities, or social obligations. Charles used to believe that sleep was something optional, a luxury that could be sacrificed for more hours of productivity. He thought staying up late was a sign of hard work and dedication, and he would often tell himself he could catch up on sleep later. But little did he know, sleep isn't a luxury. It's a necessity that deeply impacts everything from mental sharpness to long-term health. Now, at 80, Charles realizes how sleep deprivation silently chipped away at his well-being. Over the years, inadequate sleep contributed to his declining health, with its effects showing up in ways he never connected to those sleepless nights: heart problems, type 2 diabetes, mood swings, and even early signs of cognitive decline. The body repairs itself during sleep, from consolidating memories to rejuvenating the immune system. Skimping on rest means skipping crucial processes that keep both the mind and body functioning optimally. Charles admits, "I didn't realize at 50 that sleep is when the body takes care of itself. It's when the brain organizes the day's information and forms memories. But I brushed that off, thinking I was strong enough to handle the lack of rest." Research now shows that even 1 week of poor sleep can impair brain function, leading to irritability, poor decision-making, and increased stress. Over time, the consequences of insufficient sleep become more severe, ranging from weakened immune response to chronic health conditions like hypertension and Alzheimer's disease. If Charles had known then what he knows now, he would have treated sleep as a top priority, giving it the same respect he eventually gave to exercise and nutrition. "If I could go back," Charles reflects, "I would create a routine that honors sleep as sacred. I would make my bedroom a sanctuary, free from distractions, and establish a consistent bedtime." His advice is simple but profound. Start treating sleep like the critical health investment it truly is. Make sure your bedroom is a restful environment, dark, cool, and free of screens or electronics. Take sleep hygiene seriously by establishing pre-sleep rituals, such as reading a book or meditating, to signal to your body that it's time to wind down. Importantly, maintain a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends, as this supports the body's natural circadian rhythm. Charles also stresses the importance of addressing sleep issues early. "I wish I had recognized that constant fatigue or snoring could be symptoms of bigger problems like sleep apnea. If you're experiencing poor sleep, get help now. Don't wait for your health to deteriorate." In today's world, many people suffer from what experts call sleep procrastination, the habit of staying up late browsing the internet or watching TV, even when they're tired. It's a modern issue, and Charles sees it in his grandchildren now. He urges younger generations to break free from this cycle, to understand that sleep is the foundation of a healthy life, not something to sacrifice in favor of entertainment or work. 2. Protect your energy. Be mindful of who you spend time with. At 50, Charles surrounded himself with a large social circle, assuming that the more connections he had, the better his life would be. He believed that keeping up with friends, colleagues, and acquaintances was part of maintaining a balanced life. What he didn't realize then was that not all relationships are created equal. Some people in his life were uplifting and supportive, while others were quietly draining his energy, leaving him feeling emotionally exhausted after every interaction. "I had a friend, let's call him Frank," Charles recalls. "He was always filled with complaints, negativity, and drama. At first, I thought being a good friend meant being there for him, listening to his problems. But over time, I realized that Frank's constant negativity was affecting my own mood and mental health. I would leave our conversations feeling depleted, anxious, and frustrated." Charles, like many at 50, didn't pay enough attention to how certain relationships were affecting his well-being. He continued maintaining relationships out of habit, loyalty, or fear of confrontation. He learned too late that nurturing relationships is not just about quantity, but about the quality of interactions. Some people bring joy, inspiration, and support into your life, while others can leave you feeling emotionally drained. "If I could go back," Charles reflects, "I would be far more selective about who I allowed into my inner circle. It's not about being rude or cutting people off, but about preserving your own emotional health." Charles emphasizes the importance of conducting what he calls a friendship audit. Start by making a list of the people you spend the most time with. Next to each name, reflect on how you feel after each interaction. Do you feel energized, happy, and inspired, or do you feel tired, anxious, or drained? The results of this simple exercise can be eye-opening. Relationships should lift you up, not weigh you down. One of the hardest lessons Charles learned was that it's okay to distance yourself from people who no longer add value to your life. In fact, it's necessary for emotional survival. "It's not about burning bridges," he says. "Sometimes it's just about creating healthy boundaries, limiting the time spent with people who bring you down, and prioritizing those who bring positivity." Toxic relationships don't always appear as overtly negative. Some people can be subtle in their draining nature, consistently asking for help but never being available when you need support, or being pessimistic about every positive thing happening in your life. These relationships often go unnoticed until the long-term impact of their negativity becomes apparent. 3. Movement is medicine. Prioritize exercise for both body and mind. At 50, Charles, like many others, believed that exercise was something optional, something you did if you had the time, but not a core part of daily life. His mindset was typical. He wasn't overweight, so why bother? He spent long hours sitting at his desk at work, rarely felt the need to stretch or move, and used weekends for rest, not for physical activity. He thought he was doing fine. But what he didn't realize then was that exercise is not just about maintaining a certain physique. It's about long-term health, mental clarity, and the ability to maintain mobility in old age. "If I could go back," Charles reflects, "I would make movement a non-negotiable part of my life. It's not about losing weight or looking good. It's about preserving the quality of your life. The way you treat your body at 50 will determine how you feel at 80. Charles learned the hard way that sitting for long periods, day after day, took a toll on his health. At 80, he now struggles with mobility issues, joint pain and stiffness, which he knows could have been minimized if he had stayed active. Movement isn't just about preventing weight gain. It's about maintaining the body's functional strength, flexibility, and endurance, all of which are critical to aging well. Exercise, as Charles discovered, is also a powerful natural therapy for mental well-being. It's easy to underestimate the connection between physical activity and mental health. Charles recalls periods of feeling down or anxious at 50, which he dismissed as work-related stress. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, he sees how regular exercise could have helped balance his mood and relieve stress. Research shows that physical activity triggers the release of endorphins, chemicals in the brain that improve mood and reduce feelings of depression and anxiety. I didn't realize back then how much of a difference moving your body makes, not just physically but mentally, Charles says. It's like clearing a fog from your mind. Charles advises starting simple. Don't think of exercise as a daunting task. It's about movement, not marathon training. Begin with activities you enjoy, whether it's walking, swimming, or cycling. He reflects on how much he came to enjoy swimming later in life. I wish I'd started earlier, he says. It's a perfect low-impact exercise that keeps your heart, muscles, and joints healthy without straining your body. Choose your habits wisely. The small daily choices define your future. At 50, Charles thought his daily habits were harmless, maybe even normal for someone his age and career status. He enjoyed a few cigarettes to relieve stress, a glass or two of whiskey in the evenings to unwind, and fast food for lunch because it was convenient. He thought he had control over these habits and could change them any time he wanted. After all, they didn't seem like real problems, just small indulgences. What he didn't realize was that these daily choices, seemingly insignificant, were laying the groundwork for bigger challenges later in life. If I could go back to my 50s, Charles reflects, I would realize that the small choices we make daily build into patterns that define our future. Habits are powerful forces that shape our health, relationships, and mental state over time. What's easy today will become much harder tomorrow, and what's hard today might become impossible later. Charles learned too late that habits solidify with age, making them harder to change the longer they persist. The cigarettes that once seemed like a stress relief tool turned into a serious struggle to quit in his 60s. The evening drinks, which seemed harmless, slowly led to higher tolerance and more dependency, which contributed to liver issues. The fast food, though convenient, became harder to digest as his metabolism slowed, eventually leading to weight gain and the onset of diabetes. I thought I had everything under control, Charles admits, but I didn't realize that each of these habits was chipping away at my health one day at a time. Charles stresses the importance of taking an honest look at your habits in your 50s. This is an age where you still have the mental and physical resilience to make changes with less difficulty, but it's also the time when those changes can have the most profound impact on your future well-being. Instead of waiting for a health crisis to force a change, he urges others to proactively assess their daily routines. One of the most important lessons Charles learned is that habits don't just affect your physical health, they shape your mental and emotional resilience too. When you're stuck in unhealthy habits like binge eating, smoking, or relying on alcohol to unwind, it becomes harder to cope with stress and maintain a positive outlook. Breaking these habits earlier could prevent a cascade of negative effects in the long run. If I could redo it, Charles says, I would focus on building habits that nourish me, mentally, physically, and emotionally, rather than those that provide only short-term relief. He suggests making a habit inventory. List out your daily routines, both the good and the bad. Are you smoking, drinking, or eating poorly? Are you procrastinating on exercise or neglecting your mental health? Be brutally honest with yourself. Once you have this list, categorize them. Habits you want to keep, modify, or eliminate. A powerful piece of advice Charles shares is that changing habits requires small, gradual steps. Instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, focus on one habit at a time. Replace unhealthy behaviors with healthier alternatives. For example, when Charles finally quit smoking, he replaced it with chewing gum, and later, healthier options like nuts or simply taking deep breaths. Similarly, when he decided to reduce his alcohol consumption, he found comfort in relaxing herbal teas or evening walks. These small substitutions made the transition easier. Charles also learned about the concept of anchor habits, positive habits that naturally lead to other good behaviors. For example, he started associating his morning routine of brushing his teeth with 10 minutes of stretching. This small addition turned into a morning ritual that left him feeling more energized and focused throughout the day. Over time, these anchor habits became the foundation of a healthier lifestyle. He emphasizes the importance of not being too hard on yourself. Consistency is more important than perfection, Charles advises. It's okay if you slip up. What matters is that you get back on track the next day. Don't use a bad day as an excuse to give up on your progress. Keep moving forward. Charles also underscores the importance of looking at the long-term effects of your habits. At 50, it might be tempting to say, "It's just one cigarette," or "one more drink won't hurt." But habits have a cumulative effect over time. Each time you make a choice, whether to exercise, eat well, or indulge in an unhealthy habit, you're either investing in your future health or chipping away at it. That's why starting small, making conscious decisions, and building healthier routines pays off in the long run. 5. Money brings security, not happiness. Prioritize financial health for peace of mind. At 50, Charles was at the height of his career. He was making good money, and like many people in their prime earning years, he indulged in the luxuries his success afforded him: new cars, designer clothes, expensive dinners, and vacations. He believed that because he worked hard, he deserved to enjoy the fruits of his labor. What he didn't fully grasp at the time was the real value of money and how it plays a vital role in securing peace of mind, not just fulfilling material desires. "I used to think that living well meant spending on the best things life could offer," Charles recalls. "I thought buying more would bring more happiness, but looking back, I realized that the fleeting joy of material things doesn't compare to the long-term security and freedom that comes from smart financial planning." Charles admits he didn't focus on saving and investing wisely during his peak earning years. He was more focused on enjoying the present. It wasn't until much later that he realized financial stability isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about protecting yourself from future financial stress. At 80, he regrets not being more strategic with his money, especially in terms of saving for retirement and unexpected health expenses. "If I could go back to my 50s, Charles reflects, I would have saved and invested more, not for the sake of being rich, but to have the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're financially secure, especially in your later years." One of the hardest lessons Charles learned is that financial stress in old age is far worse than missing out on luxury in your 50s. As healthcare costs rise and fixed incomes don't always match inflation, having a strong financial safety net can mean the difference between comfort and constant worry. Charles offers this advice: start by saving at least 10% of what you earn. It might not seem like a significant amount, but over time, compounded savings and smart investments will grow into something meaningful. He regrets not making this a priority when he was younger, as he now faces the financial constraints of living on a fixed income while dealing with the rising costs of healthcare. One critical mistake Charles admits to making was not understanding the power of compound interest early enough. He wishes he had been taught more about investing, how putting small amounts of money into stocks, bonds, or mutual funds over time can yield significant returns. He advises anyone in their 50s to take the time to learn about financial planning, retirement accounts, and investment strategies. "Don't leave your financial future in someone else's hands," Charles urges. Educate yourself. Read books, take courses, and if needed, seek the advice of a financial planner. The better you understand your own money, the more control you'll have over your future. Another key piece of wisdom Charles shares is the importance of differentiating between wants and needs. At 50, many people, including Charles, fall into the trap of spending money to keep up appearances or to satisfy emotional desires. The latest car model, expensive dinners, and high-end gadgets can seem like signs of success. But Charles now knows that true success is about having the financial security to live comfortably without constantly worrying about money. When I was younger, I thought happiness came from external things, Charles recalls. But the truth is, the real joy comes from financial freedom, the ability to live without the constant fear of running out of money. Charles suggests doing a financial audit at 50. Look at where your money is going, cut out unnecessary expenses, and redirect those funds towards saving and investing. He also recommends establishing an emergency fund, which can cover 6 months' worth of living expenses in case of unforeseen circumstances. Unexpected events can and do happen, Charles says. Whether it's a health issue, a job loss, or a sudden market crash, having an emergency fund gives you a safety cushion. It's one less thing to worry about. Another financial lesson Charles wishes he had learned earlier is the importance of diversification. Putting all your savings into one basket, whether it's a single investment, property, or even just a savings account, can be risky. Spreading your investments across different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, real estate and savings, can help protect against financial downturns and provide a balanced approach to wealth building. Charles emphasizes that wealth building isn't just about making more money, it's about managing what you have wisely. As he reflects on his own spending habits in his 50s, he wishes he had invested more in experiences that brought long-term happiness, like family vacations or meaningful hobbies, rather than temporary pleasures like material goods.